What's going on, everybody? It's your boy Bless. To the left of me, I got my co-host with the most, and you are locked into the Moment of Truth podcast. This week, I have a very special guest, a longtime friend, a fixture in the scene, an OG. An OG, you were definitely an OG at this point, my brother.
Yes, I agree.
A young OG. A young OG, founder of Empire Skate Shops.
Yep.
Multiple other ventures that we're going to get into.
Yep.
The big homie Phil Grisé.
Welcome,
Pleased to
brother.
be
Welcome.
here. Pleased to be here. Thanks
Thank
for
you
the
for
invite.
coming. Thank you. So let's jump into it. I met this gentleman 2001, maybe 2002.
2002.
2002. You're fresh on my mind because I found, looking through some old boxes, a flyer for an in-store we did.
Yeah.
Why don't you tell the people, this is the first day we met. This is how we met.
So basically, close friend of mine, we had opened my first store called Empire on the South Shore of Montreal. And, I was a big Gangstar fan, and obviously you were clicked up with Guru back then.
Mm-hmm.
And I got an opportunity to, try to get him in for an autograph signing in store. And I didn't really know about you back then. I'd seen you go around with a few pictures of you really young, hanging with these American cats. So I was like, all right, cool. Bless going to be in town. So, a few days later, the event happens. I meet you with Guru. And from there, it just worked.
Absolutely. We instantly clicked. And I was really impressed with his shop, and they had a great turnout. And this was way out in the suburbs.
Yeah.
This was like even
Saint
like
Julie.
there you go. So this is deep. This is real. This is the
That's so
South
deep.
Bronx.
This is
of the South Shore.
It's like 15, 20 minutes away from the city, but
It's the furthest I had ever went
yeah, no doubt,
out of the
no
core.
doubt, no doubt.
And he had a dope ass spot. They had a DJ playing
Yeah.
that day, and the kids loved it.
We used to sell records back then. So
course.
basically the store was a skateboard and snowboard store because that's, where I'm from, and those are the things I really liked. But I got into DJing maybe, early to mid 90s when A-Track was popping.
Mm-hmm.
The whole DJ craze came about, and I got into that. So when I opened the store, we had a section where we'd sell hip-hop and R&B vinyls.
Oh, okay. So you had a vinyl spot.
Yeah, we had a vinyl
Oh,
spot.
I completely forgot. I completely forgot that part of it. So yeah, that was dope. We did it. Actually, do you remember who it is who hooked us up?
That was Nick.
Nick. R.I.P. Nick, man.
Yeah, R.I.P.
R.I.P. Nick from a lot of cats that might have been around back then. Nick used to be the rep for Academics.
Exactly.
So I guess that's how you guys knew each other.
No, I knew him way back. I started snowboarding with that cat.
Oh,
Yeah.
see, I didn't know that.
Yeah, so basically when we were kids, maybe 12, 13 years old, Nick was from Brossard, and I was from St. Bruno, and we'd go to these different skate parks or snow parks and ski hills to ride. So we got together, and it clicked, and started hanging and obviously going out together. And he was a rep, I was in retail, so we'd work. I'd carry a lot of the lines that he was carrying. He, in all the urban clothing lines, he probably touched them all. Like at one point, he
I remember he had Pele, he had Academics. What other brands?
Oh man, Carl Kanai.
wow.
So many I can't even remember. Like
Mark and I just did a serious comeback in the last couple of years.
Yeah,
I see them all over.
Everything's getting retro.
Bro, everything that's from the 90s and then early 2000s
all coming
is
full
coming
circle,
back.
right?
I just need to say, I find it ridiculous when I see these hipster kids wearing FUBU. Like, that shit was never cool. Like, we didn't like FUBU back. Come on, did you ever wear FUBU back then?
Bro, no.
No.
Hell
There
no.
you
We're
go.
a bunch of white guys. You're not supposed. It's for us by
Oh,
us.
no, I
That's not
wore.
true.
Hold up.
No,
That's not
Nah.
true.
yeah, I'm wrong on that one.
That's not true.
Okay, please explain.
I cannot say. It so happens that I think I was on Facebook this week and I was checking out Friggy. You must know Friggy.
Yeah, of course.
So I think Friggy is, I'm fucking scrolling through his shit. He's always, a lot of garbage going on his thing, but he's always got the facts. And he posted something in regards to the fact that I think one of the owners or someone important at FUBU says, hey, it's not for us by us. It's something else.
Wow.
Then obviously Friggy always gets the comments.
The rumor mill never got cleared up back then. Like
Yeah,
Tommy
exactly.
Hilfiger was racist.
Yeah.
There was another big one, and none of that. I don't think any of that was true either. I think Tommy came out and he was like, "I never said anything like that. I'm super happy that like the urban culture
community,
supported me, and like literally he credited like hip hop with making the brand."
I read a story about that, and he
He went on
through
Oprah.
some and he went through some crazy hot he was in hot water for a while because of that, and it really affected his brand. But he literally said it was nothing like that. You know,
It was probably some malicious publicist they fired or something. You know,
typical.
But we did wear a lot of, like, I wore Academics, I wore Mecca, I wore Pele, but for some reason, like, FUBU to me was whack.
Well, it was that rumor, right? I was under the impression that just wasn't for me. Like,
It's just the clothes were nice. They had Fat Albert cartoons on
colors I never wore.
Cross colors either. I don't.
Right?
To be honest with you, I didn't really. Academics and LRG when it came out, known 555 Soul.
Super
you know,
even the early Echo collection when it was still graffiti.
When it was Mark Echo
Sick.
graffiti, you know,
Fleeces,
really
the anoraks,
the huge.
the huge. I'd still rock that if I could find that.
Exactly, straight up. Their early tracksuits, you know, still today you could probably knock them off and put them back out on the market. They'd be top.
Hell yeah.
But there's a lot of like. How can I say, the brands I just mentioned were like a crossover between that urban culture mixed in with the skate community, a little bit of skate flavor and streetwear culture without being super urban. The other brands like the FUBUs, the Pele,
we're more on the other side
Carl Kanai, that was like another specter that I really, you know, I profited from it because I did sell it because I had a customer base that wanted it, but it wasn't really my thing personally.
Right.
Makes sense.
What about what was it? No Fear. I always had a No Fear wallet when I was really young. I'm talking
No
like
Fear
elementary
Stussy. I feel like that was
school.
very skate culture.
You cannot.
Too different.
Yeah.
I just feel like you can give me a little bit of insight on No Fear because I had some,
to be honest,
early stuff.
Yeah, No Fear was a brand that showed up. I never sold it. I never carried it.
Okay.
For me, No Fear was not so cool. They were very distributed, had a very wide distribution.
It was more mainstream.
It was, very mainstream. And they had no direct association to skateboarding, snowboarding, or hip hop. Everything we had in the store had to have a direct or indirect link to those three components because, like, you know, there's other brands I could have sold. You know, I only had X amount of square feet to.
So you wanted to push those brands that were important
they were involved.
To the culture.
They were important to the culture. That they were involved. That were giving back to the community. You know, often these brands would show up and they'd say, hey, you know, here's our line. Check the catalogs. You know, check our samples out. Great product. You know, very well made, fair priced, looking good. And our ultimate question: okay, cool. What do you guys do for the community? Who do you sponsor? You know, are you guys doing shows? Where are your ad campaigns? And they couldn't really answer any of that. So obviously, we unfortunately have to say
they didn't check all the boxes.
Yeah, we can't care. It's impossible to check all the boxes, but you get a few out of, you know, then you can work with a product. At that point is like, no. A lot of brands we had to shut down. So to come back to No Fear is a brand that just didn't pop in our culture.
Makes sense. What were some of the big early brands that you guys were really championing, that you guys were pushing at the store?
I mean, because I worked in retail prior to me starting the store with my partners, so obviously there was an earlier phase in my business development that I carried certain brands, and then by the time we opened our store, you know, those brands were no longer as cool, so we moved on. But I mean, you know, brands that were trending for us at that point, you know, brands like Dub, Drawers, which were American. Basically, those were the early brands that had a direct tie into DC clothing and DC shoes. Yeah. So basically, they were the early instigators of that brand.
Gotcha.
And you know, obviously, all the brands that now today are ultra mainstream, but back then, you know, barely anyone knew about, such as like a brand like Volcom. You know, Volcom, everyone knows. It's very, very mainstream, yet still very core focused in what they believe in and what they support.
Nice.
But at that time, you know, there was very little stores. You have to understand that in 99, 2000, the skateboard and snowboard and urban culture wasn't as developed and wasn't as mainstream / accepted as today. Yeah. You know, back in the 90s, you told your father, hey, I want to become a professional skateboarder. He'd want to hit you with a baseball bat and say, no
want to hit
son.
You with a skateboard.
Exactly. No way, son. He's like, no, you're going to play hockey or you're going to study, you know? And now any parent who has a kid, if the kid is interested by skateboarding or snowboarding, he'll be a lot more open-minded towards letting him develop in those sports because today you can actually
Make a living.
Make a living.
There's an Olympic categories, right? That was around.
Snowboarding's been in the Olympics for a while,
but around the same time, right? Like
early 90s, mid late 90s. Snowboarding was admitted to the Olympics, and
I think that was
in the next few years, skateboarding is going into the Olympics.
Wow, I didn't know that. That's dope.
Yeah, so that's going to change the game.
So it's an interesting segue. That's something I wanted to touch on, kind of the fusing of skate culture and hip hop culture. Growing up, when I was in high school, I remember a movie, Kids. Remember the movie Kids, which was a classic melting of the cultures, where you had tracks from the homie Jeru the Damager and people like that in the mid 90s in New York. And for those who aren't familiar, Kids was this crazy movie. I think one of Rosario Dawson's first big roles.
I think it was her first role.
Where it was kind of like a bunch of, street kids that kind of grew up around the way in New York from all different ethnicities. And what brought them together was skate culture and kind of hip hop and all the trouble that they got into, which probably looked a lot like our high school years.
Yeah, for sure.
Definitely mine.
Yeah, for sure. Same thing.
So what would you attribute that to? Like where did you see those cultures blending?
Well,
early, of course.
Well, since day one, I started skating in the late 80s, and even prior to me starting, the culture was already very directly linked to music. So if you skated, you were inevitably listening to certain styles of music. Obviously, punk rock was very present. Good metal. Yeah. Good metal was always well appreciated, and hip hop and rap music. So, skaters were through different skateboard movies in which they featured different skaters. Well, they'd have soundtracks, and in those movies you'd have an array of different styles of music, but they always, it was always all around, hardcore, punk, hip hop, a bit of reggae, and
ska.
Well, yeah, ska for me is somewhat in the same it's in
the
style.
same vein,
exactly. Yeah. And so obviously us, man, it was what 88. Beastie Boys, Public Enemy,
the Check Your Head days,
NWA. No, this is way before Check Your Head. This is
80s.
Paul's Boutique.
It was what's the one with the plane on it?
License to Ill.
License to Ill. Sorry, and then it was Paul's Boutique after.
I think so.
Yeah.
So License to Ill changed the game for us.
Right.
Public Enemy. Album number 2, not Yo Bum Rush, the show, Takes a Nation of a Million to Hold Us Back.
Yes.
Fear of a Black Planet. Those were extremely influential. Obviously, anything that came from the West Coast pertaining to NWA, Ice-T, Ice Cube.
Cypress Hill.
That was later.
That was later. Rage Against the Machine.
Yes.
Would you say we're... Because I feel like they were crossing...
Yeah, extremely influential, but I
wasn't your shit.
Exactly.
Wasn't your shit.
When I started listening to hip hop and rap music, nothing else mattered. Like, to me, every single musical instrument could have been burnt.
2 turntables, microphones.
That was cool,
Well, it's interesting because what I always thought was dope about skate culture, and even though I never skated, I used to hang around with a ton of cats who skated, especially when I was coming up in high school. And I was always a hardcore hip hop purist, still am to this day. But what I appreciated about skate culture is they kind of always gravitated and supported underground
for sure.
music.
Yeah.
They were into the subculture.
Yeah, we're very, skateboarding is the subculture. Maybe less today because it's in it. Everything is a little bit more mainstream. Everything that's edgy is extremely mainstream now. You understand? So back then, skateboarders were different. We didn't want to take orders from anyone. We didn't want to have a coach telling us how to skateboard or how to get better. It was figure it out. It was like figure it out yourself. So that music would come and endorse it because the culture behind that music, the lyrics, the messages were somewhat, struggle related. And to a certain extent, it's a totally different reality, but Fuck the Police related extremely well with us, even though we were white, because everywhere we went to get skateboarding, they'd kick us out and give us fines and confiscate our skateboards. And we were like, yo, we're skating here. And, 100 feet away from us, there's a bunch of bums selling weed and, whatever, LSD. And you guys are annoying us.
We're just trying to
we're just
skateboard,
skateboarding.
like,
we're just doing a sport. Basically.
But don't get it twisted. The OG skaters I knew were troublemakers too. A lot of the time, if you fuck with a crew of skaters, you definitely get a deck
you
upside
fuck with
your
a
head.
crew of high school football players, you're gonna get the same shit.
True.
It's gonna be even worse.
True.
So
True.
You're a kid. A kid is a kid. Being part of being a kid is going against the norm.
Right.
Absolutely.
That's how things evolve. The norm of today is the past of the future. So if you're not testing those boundaries, pardon me, there's no evolution, technically speaking.
Very true. I agree with you.
Well put.
So let me ask you, where did you grow up and how did you start in this business? Take us back. Tell us some of your story.
It's a cool story. That's actually a really cool story. So I started skating in like 86. My father brought back one of those little toy yellow skateboards, like plastic, and at that point, I come from a very sport-orientated, family. My brother's a very good hockey player. So I right there start skating, forget it. I'm not doing any other sport. Nothing else matters in the world. So I evolved skateboarding, and I'm fairly good at skateboarding. I'm very young, but I'm always hanging with people that are like 5, 6, 7 years older than me because I'm at their level of skateboarding. At one point, there's a friend of mine who, at that point, I hadn't met yet, who opens a store in St. Bruno, which is my hometown on the South Shore of Montreal. And so, it's the new skate spot. And obviously back then, skate stores are like the local hangout. So you go there, you chill there all day, you go skateboarding in the afternoon, come back at the store, and it's like a hangout. So we start hanging out at the store. And the how I got involved in like physically working in that store is I was perfectly bilingual. My mother's perfectly English. My father's French. So obviously at a young age, I was fluent in both languages. And the owner of that store was French, like French Canadian to the max. So at that point, all distributors and companies were based out west or in the States. So he had to speak English, and he was on the phone, man, and he was saying some stuff that made no sense. So I just tapped on his shoulder and said, give me the phone. I was 12 years old at that point.
Wow.
I was like, give me the phone. So he gave me the phone, and I put my hand. I was like, what do you want to say in French? So he told me what he wanted to say. And I just conveyed the message to the person on the phone. So 5-7 minutes later, I hang up, and it's like, yo, I want you here 3 days a week, and
translating.
A
12-year-old skater child.
Some orders.
That is so
a few years later, I end up going to Toronto for a trade show, and it's a Canadian skateboard and snowboard ski trade show, and the distributors are there, and we're walking around, and we meet the people face to face.
What year was this? About
this was like
roughly.
Probably 94, 95.
Dope.
And these people look at me and they look down at me because I'm like 4'9", and I'm 13, 14 years old. And they're like, you're the guy placing these,
these big orders?
These big orders? How's this possible? So from there, those people really appreciated the fact that I was very young and involved. And that person who owned that store was my partner at Empire. We started the store together with another one of my friends, Fred, who was like the local hero skater.
Gotcha.
So we clicked up and started Empire in 99.
Dope.
Yeah.
Dope. So take me on the journey of, so obviously we're very alike in that we got a very early start in our respective businesses. Constantly surrounded by older cats. Story was exactly the same. How did you go from being a kid working in the skate store to opening one location with 2 other guys to turning it into a chain? How did that happen? What was that evolution
basically, I started working for that guy at the store.
Yeah.
I was still in school, skating. At that point, snowboarding arrived, and obviously snowboarding became a very important part of my life. And about probably, I'd say somewhere around 96, he sold his store to someone. I stayed with the new owners as like an assistant manager. And I did a few years there. At that point, I was still sort of teeter-tottering between working in the business and trying to be a professional.
Gotcha.
So I had maybe a little bit more chance of doing something in the snowboard realm. But I was always getting injured, like severe injuries. So like I had broken my leg twice, my collarbone 3 times, all this in like 3 years. So I really hurt myself many times. And I was like, man, if I continue this, I'm going to die doing this, you know? So I rechanneled my energy and focused on the business aspect of things. To me, it was more of a sure shot on the long run, safer. And I was looking also at, you know, your general athlete, the athlete's career. It has a lifespan that is quite short, because when you're skating, you're snowboarding, injuries, you get older, that new clique comes in and they sort of overpower the older guys. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to let, you know, the actual skateboarding, snowboarding career go, and I'm going to focus on retail. So in 97, I called my old boss back, which was Pat. He was a friend, and Fred. And, you know, I told him, listen, I'd love to start a store. I don't know where yet, but, you know, it's time for change. Let's get together and do it, you know, and let's do it differently. So at that point, we opened our first store in St. Julie, the store that you visited. It was, you know, your average store was maybe 2,000 square feet. We went to 4,000 square feet. Your average store was very basic in the design. We invested in our design. So we got a designer to help us out. And, you know, we were like the first boutique skateboard store. We had like a saltwater aquarium in there. We had, you know, it wasn't just 4 walls and some chrome racking on the walls. It was like, you know, custom made fixturing. We were selling products that were a lot more expensive. Like we were selling diesel denim at that point.
Wow, were you?
At like 250 bones a
Back
piece.
then.
And that was in 99. So
Yeah.
people were like, holy shit. So we had this cool mix of product
Where it was like high end mixed with the legit skate culture.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So, you know, like diesel denim was legit. Like you wanted a dope pair
Still
of denim.
legit.
Yeah, exactly.
Still
you know,
rock diesels.
so we decided to have that mix of product. We were the first to do that. And then from there, we opened on the 15th of August of 99, skyrocket success, unbelievable. God bless all the customers that supported us. And a few years down the road, we opened Montreal and Boisbriand, which is on the North Shore. And then we opened Ville-Saint-Catherine, Vaudreuil, Quebec, Terrebonne, Boisbriand. We expanded stores that already existed. We opened Boucherville. We moved things around a bit. And now we have Bromont, Granby with some partners of ours. It's actually more of like a franchisee deal because they're good friends of us. We don't work the franchise business model, but with these guys,
You're close.
you know, yeah, exactly. There's a lot of love, so we decided to go forward with that because we knew the guys for so long. And so we have 9 stores, and obviously in our world,
Congrats, brother.
Thanks,
Yes,
bro.
congrats.
Well appreciated. And in 2007, I'm more or less a year maybe, we started doing online business. So we started selling online, which is very ahead of the curve compared to a lot of the skateboard and snowboard stores.
I have a question for you. Are you doing anything different with your online stuff, similar to what you did with your brick and mortar?
What do you mean?
The saltwater ponds. Do you have any insight for the kids that are?
No.
Is there something on those?
Like what happened, it's cool you're asking that question, because to circle back to what was going on is our stores became very busy, very high density traffic. So we had to work the business model differently when it evolved. So instead of like back then we had a 4,000 square foot store. After that, our stores were like 7, 8, 9, 10, 12,000 square feet. You know, instead of holding maybe $300,000 or $400,000 of inventory, we were like sitting on $1 to $2 million in inventory. Instead of putting in, I don't know, $200,000 of leasehold improvements, we were dropping $1 million of leasehold improvements. So when the formula was, you know, really went up. And every time we open a new store, we take our existing formula and we try to make it better. Obviously, times have changed. The new economy, that, you know, we hear that term, that's nouvelle économie, sorry for the French term. There is a change, there's a shift. You know, online business, the Amazons of this world, you know, before there was borders, now there's like less borders. So cross-country shipping's happening. So the struggle is different. It's often in our business, when we're having business meetings with, you know, strategic partners, the common sort of catchphrase is, to make that dollar, I have to work 4 times harder because there's more competition out there.
Right.
So what I was coming back to is that formula evolved. Like my stores are still what I consider them nice stores for a skateboard and snowboard store, you know.
Beautiful.
But I don't have room anymore for the saltwater aquarium because I'm sitting on $2 million of inventory and every square foot is extremely
And your competition
optimized,
is just drop shipping, maybe not even necessarily holding a lot of inventory.
Definitely not. It's like I said, it's a new world for online. In our case, you know, through the years, I have a partner who's specifically dedicated to online, you know, development. You know, close friend of mine snowboarded for years when we were kids, and he was working in a web company, doing a whole bunch of different web
You have a back-end
projects.
guy that
and
knows
then
the
he
SEO
came up
stuff.
to me in like 2005 or maybe 2006 and said, "Yo, you know, you have all this inventory. Let me take care of your online component. Let's do a partnership." So I was like, "Man, you know what? That's a great idea. You know, I don't have the competence and the skills to do it, so might as well, you know, get together and do it."
Yeah.
So 2007, more or less, we start the site, and every 3 to 5 years, we do basically a relaunch of the site. So
Rebrand the whole thing.
Well, change like the back end or the front end. It could be aesthetical, it could be technical in the back end. Like probably end of March to mid-April this year, we're relaunching on a Shopify Plus.
Oh wow! Shout out to Shopify, by the way. I grew up with the CEO.
Oh,
really?
Yeah, my best friend's neighbor, like he was around my place all the time. Harley Finkelstein, great guy, and he was a killer back then. Guy was like 4 foot nothing, and you could tell this guy's gonna be worth many millions later.
He's definitely doing well for himself. These guys are blowing up. And so, you know, we tried different platforms, working with Magento now, and we decided to shift towards Shopify Plus.
Yep.
You know, we evaluated the pros and cons of each, and you know, we said it's time for a change. So again, investing. The key to our success is being extremely present, being extremely involved in the community, and continuously reinvesting into our stores. So, you know, we just expanded and redid the Vaudreuil store. We're working on redoing some aesthetics in the Boisbriand store and the Quebec store. The exterior of the building that I own with my partners in Boucherville, we're redoing this spring also. So, you know, there's always
Improvements
being done.
What kind of community outreach stuff have you done? Because I've heard the name Empire. I mean, I'm meeting you for the first time tonight, but at the same time, I've known the name just based in the community as a figure.
Yeah.
So what is that initiative?
Well, great question. Like people who are basically Empire, it's funny. The best example, as I can say, is when we answer the phone at the store, we answer because we're in Quebec and there's the French law.
Anglais or
we have to answer Empire Sport Bonjour, because if I answer like Empire,
It's
I'm
game
answering
over.
in English, and then I can have problems with.
Wow.
So and
Welcome to Quebec, by the way. Our guests from out of town that are watching.
Yeah, but hey, you know what?
It's a beautiful place.
I'm perfectly bilingual, and I strongly believe that the French essence and community needs to be protected.
100%.
So what they're doing is legit, but it's annoying because I have to deal with it.
And it's a bit of an imposition to say, you know, English and French signs should be the same size. I get it. But when you're like imposing how the person wishes to greet, and you don't know, listen, if somebody's Francophone and they want to greet in French, go for it. If somebody's Anglophone and they want to greet in English, go for it. It's a little funny when the government imposes how to greet one another.
I agree. Listen, as much as we can do a full podcast just on that,
of course,
I accepted it. I
Yes,
live here. It's a choice I have. I run my business.
And they're beautiful
here with my
people.
partners.
I like the French Canadians.
Of course.
Anyone who comes to Quebec, who's from anywhere else in the world, really appreciates what it is. Like,
And you
there's
know what?
not one person that leaves here upset with the people, the language, the architecture, the community, the culture. It's, you know,
Beautiful.
exactly.
And let's be fair, it is the French that makes us completely unique.
Exactly.
So-
on the continent. Exactly.
Absolutely.
I lived in California for 2 years, and I couldn't wait to get back here to the real faces, the real hardworking. I mean, it's a beautiful place we live in.
Listen, you know, the only thing that most people could do without, let's say, is the extremely cold weather.
Yeah,
but
sure.
that's another issue.
we
So
gotta
to come back to what I was saying was, what was the question? again?
We were talking about your community outreach stuff that you do within the
thank you.
community.
So throughout since day one, like basically we started Empire, and you know, customers are flocking in, and we were talking about this before the show while we were waiting for Bless. You know, we were one of the first stores to do customer profiling, take down as much information pertaining to where the customer comes from, his home address, his age, his birth date, and blah, blah, blah. So with all that data, we could, do special stores, VIP invites.
That's right.
Then we started, it was like, hey, it's our first year. Let's throw a party because obviously, we love to party.
In my mind, and that's what we were talking about before we started rolling, I was always very impressed with your sense of entrepreneurship. You were great at executing. You're one of these people who has big ideas, but actually is able to execute it professionally.
Yeah, for sure.
So props to you on that. And that's what I was telling Lemme was that, as my memory serves me, you were one of the first people doing, data collection and really building that community around your business, which now is the status quo because of social media.
Yeah, exactly.
But back then there was no social media.
Nope.
And Phil used to call me, to invite me to one of his events, or I think maybe we performed even at one of the events.
You've most likely performed
Shakedown?
Shakedown. Yeah,
Yes,
exactly.
yes.
So we started with the first anniversary party. We killed it. There was a few hundred people, and then we realized, you know what? Let's just do this on a regular basis.
Remember one year you guys did Cardinal?
I did Cardi, Choclair, Onyx, Naughty, DPG, 3-6 Mafia, Wu-Tang, Mac Miller,
Rest in peace.
Talib Kweli, Das Effects,
Nice.
Diggity diggity.
Bless that shakedown.
Bless. Premiere many times, Jazzy Zeph.
That's
many
right.
times.
You did do premiere a couple times. We came through.
Those are a list of who's who.
And let me tell you something. It was one party better than the next.
Yeah.
And it was a great crowd.
Yeah.
It was all like no drama, no fights. Like a lot of the skate community would come out. A lot of people on the fashion end, like the distributors.
Yep.
And it was always like the highlight. We always looked forward to it. And I was like, this guy must have a massive fucking email list.
Yeah.
And this is it's social media.
Right.
Yeah, Facebook did not exist.
Facebook didn't exist. So you were very much a visionary in understanding that if you know your clients, like for real, that's the gift that keeps on giving.
Yeah. Skateboarding is all about, skateboarding and snowboarding. And a lot of the extreme sports also, but I just don't, we don't cater to the like Moto X and surfing and stuff like that, where it's like skateboarding and snowboarding. But the whole business side of things is one thing, but you can't do that business if you're not nurturing the community. And, skateboarding and snowboarding, what do? We skate, we snowboard, we party.
That's right.
So,
And a lot of it's in like a public area or in
more
like social settings.
well,
It's not-
yeah, but that's it. We're all about being together. Like,
Right.
and if we're, a day you're not even in the mood to go skate, you're still going to go to the spot, chill, and drink a beer or smoke a, whatever,
Smoke a
and do your thing. So it's very tight knit community. So when we decided to do one party that blew up, and then in a second party, then I started doing those Supreme Sundays, which you probably came a few times with Skeptic and Fiend.
What's the Supreme Sunday?
Supreme Sunday was a night. Basically, we very irresponsibly like to screw our week up. So we have a regular night for years on Sunday nights and just blow it out of 300-400 people sloshed. And obviously Monday was like a headache, man. But it nurtured the community and everyone loved the night. It was very snowboard community based. So we ended up doing that for a few years. And then, other opportunities came about and one thing, that this is one thing that the people who know me well know is I try to preach this to my staff is there's no job that's too big or small for anyone. So, I'll mop the floor if I need to. I'd show up at Cinema Gouzeau with my flyer box and a
great.
Rari,
Leave your
and
ego
I'd personally flag the cars, and I'd leave in a Rari, and people are like, "What the hell?" It's like, bro, I gotta pay the Rari, I gotta work,
That's right.
So very hands on, and our team was very hands on, and people could feel this, and they appreciated it, and it built the community.
I could definitely say something about Phil, knowing him for a decade and a half, if not more. He's a guy that plays hard, but he's really a guy that works very hard.
Right.
And I think that that's possible when you're passionate about what you do.
Yeah, for sure.
Because I'm sure for you, it's work, but it doesn't feel like work
not
because you're always around the people you want to be around, and you're always kind of involved in the scene you want to be involved in. What could be better than that, especially if you're doing well enough to drive a camouflage Ferrari?
Yes.
Which he does, which he was gracious enough to
That's
lend
true.
us for one of my videos.
That's true. I forgot about that.
Yeah, he has one of the dopest cars in the city, hands down. He has a custom, it's paint camouflage, a camouflage custom painted.
Oh, it's paint. It's not like one of those sticker.
No. Basically, you might have know Scanner, the graffiti artist, who R.I.P. to the one and only King Scan.
Yeah.
Me and him, we met a few years back doing some stuff in one of my bars. We'll get to the bars, I guess, after.
That's exactly where I was going.
And we clicked, and he's extremely hardworking, extremely professional, but also working in a very niche business, model. So he ends up coming to my house, like he's done like a 50-foot mural in my house. He did my front door, and at one point, my car's parked outside. I'm like, man, I'm sick of my car. It's like, I got to do something cool. I was like, I'd like to do a camo, but everyone's doing weak camo. Like the camos, you can tell they're printed. So I'm like, man, I'm not feeling it. He's like, well, let's paint it. And, it took me about 2 seconds, and I was like, you idiot. Then I said, you know what? Yeah, let's do it.
You have a graph legend here. Like, let's go to work.
So, we brought the car into my buddy's garage. We, brought it back down to the fiber, to the aluminum, reprimed it. This was 424 hours of work.
Wow.
Reprimed it and built up the camouflage. He basically mocked it up, and a tattooer by the name of Juice, who's also very well known in the city, actually applied the camo, and then the official car painter did all the matte finishing, and it came out like it's stealth camo.
It's stunning.
Like, man, the Canadian Army invited me to a parade because it was so legit.
And it's the standard green, dark green.
Yeah, it's like DOS effects.
Right.
Straight
Camo.
from the Suwa camo. It doesn't get better than that.
Yeah.
Very dope. So, in keeping with the work hard, play hard. So you go from being a 12-year-old kid, being a translator for your boy.
Well put.
To working in retail.
Yep.
To opening your first spot. To opening 9 spots. But you don't stop there.
Nope.
You don't stop at events. You don't stop at skate and snowboard culture. You, at some point, decide that you want to continue and expand your entrepreneurship.
Yeah. So this is a very, I'm very business-minded. We're doing all these events that we've been talking about. I'm ramming parties from 200 to 4,000 people. It's always sold out.
You're like, let's monetize this.
Yeah, let's monetize it. And at that point, I was still a DJ. And I was a sucky DJ because I played for myself instead of playing for the crowd. So you walk in and Phil was mixing. It was Group Home, Mob Deep, DOS FX.
That's why Bless was there. Wasn't shit to me. I'm like, yo.
But the girls are like, okay, this is a little too hard, a little too rough, So, and then while I'm mixing, all my buddies are showing up and coming up to the DJ booth and like, yo, Phil, let's have a drink, let's have a shot. And I'm like, man, bro, I'm mixing, I can't,
nights, bro.
So I'm like, no, I'm no longer going to be a DJ. I'll hire DJs, and then, I'll be a promoter. And then, so you go from making a few $100 to making a few hundred more as a promoter. And then at one point, I had an opportunity with a bunch of friends. The real story is that club night I was doing on Sunday nights, the Supreme Sundays, the club went down in flames.
Where was it?
It was the Dog on the corner of Saint Denis and Mount Royal.
Okay.
No, Rachel. Sorry, Rachel. Yeah.
Rachel.
And the club burnt down, and for a few months we were like, okay, no more nights. And then suddenly a friend of mine says, hey, let's go do the night at Rachel. And we go and do a business meeting with the partners of the place, and they're sort of scared because they know of our events, and skaters and snowboarders are always sticking stickers everywhere and, tagging the
I was going to say tags, they got markets.
Everything, and their spot's pretty clean. So they're like, man, you know what? Not too sure. And there was a bar called Sofa Lounge in front of. So we bought Sofa Lounge. We went into to do a night in a club, and 20 minutes later we buy the club in front, and that was hilarious.
And then smash your camel Ferrari through the window.
And so we end up doing L'Écurie, the first bar
I
that
remember
I did with
that.
Jeremy.
I was a big
and
supporter.
Brendan, Pat, and Alex from A5 Management.
That was a great
and,
night.
Man, those were
That
great.
was messy nights.
Yeah,
Very
exactly.
messy nights. And you know what I give Phil his credit for is like he always had the DJs that were playing a healthy mix of what was happening in the moment, but like while still playing the hardcore shit that the three of us, when you're really drunk and the group home comes on and the Mobb Deep Hell on Earth comes on, it's a special vibe.
Right.
Because
Exactly.
you could get the Drake and the Jay-Z or whatever everywhere.
I think you just said Goody Mob, and I'm like, I might have to bust out my Goody Mob shit later.
I did.
Right? Who's that peeping through the window?
Man, bro, those are all anthems.
And you know
literally.
what? Those looping back what he was saying, that's all the shit that was in the skate videos back
exactly.
in the day, right?
Straight
so great tie-in, great time. So I think, would you attribute a lot of your success in your various businesses to that early building of community around them?
For sure.
100%.
For sure. I mean, it's very difficult to capitalize on whatever business, area you want to focus in without being involved, because the only way you can properly service these people is by knowing them and getting to know
Personally.
them and listening to them and obviously trying things. Some things might work, some others might not. But if you're there and you're involved in it and you're active, you're going to be able to adjust quickly and optimize.
And they're going to want to
versus being
support
passive.
and they're going to want to support
Yeah,
you because
for sure.
if you see Phil and he got you around and you're going to go buy a pair of skate shoes, you're not going to go to the competitor. You're going to go see Phil because you like the guy.
Yeah,
you party with the guy.
I
you
would
relate
hope
to
that.
the
I would
guy.
obviously
You know what I'm
use. I
saying?
mean,
I certainly would. You know what I'm saying? I mean, it's a
there-
no-brainer.
There's competition and we need competition because it keeps me on my grind and it keeps those guys on their grind because I'm their competition. So competition is healthy, and I can't service 100% of the customers that, so obviously we do our best to service the ones that appreciate what we do. It's again, always evolving, and we have to reposition ourselves, and it's part of being almost 20 years deep with Empire. It's if I would have sat on my butt in 99 and said, hey, this formula works for me and I'm going to keep it forever,
You'd be out of
closed.
business.
I'd be closed.
Like so many people
there you go.
came in, made a killing, and then just
Ended up going down the tube.
And I ask these questions very strategically because I want a lot of the younger cats that check this out to understand what goes into really being consistent in any business, especially in businesses like yours, which seem really cool and glamorous, but they don't realize you've been at this since 99
Well, I've been
and
at
even
that-
before
yeah,
that.
that's what I
I'm
was
talking
gonna
about building your business.
For us to work, straight off the bat in 99, we had put in 10 years prior to that.
Of course.
Oh.
Oh.
And I mean, anyone who thinks that it fell from the sky is
No, come on.
Because
at all.
Because a lot of people would see, me and you having drinks at the bar, and they'd see you popping bottles, and they'd see you coming or going in the Camel Ferrari, and I'm sure they were like,
Not when I had pop bottles, bro.
"Oh, no, coming, not leaving, coming, not
No
leaving,
drinking and driving. buddy.
coming, not
There we
leaving." But what I mean is that they would see the end,
end result.
the end result, and be like, "Oh well, I guess this guy, got lucky or whatever." And the reality is, 10 years prior to 99, and then from 99
20-year
to
span.
2019, he's a big deal.
Yeah.
And that's a 30-year commitment.
Yeah, and I mean, my typical day is I wake up at 4 or 5 a.m. I have a back problem, so I have to take a bath to sort of
Relax.
fucking relax.
Get your
it.
shit
Thank
together?
you. Yeah, exactly. So by then, at 4, 5 a.m., I'm already texting my bar managers and restaurant managers to see how the night went. Was there any problems? Were there any fights with cops or whatever, So then I know that if the cops call me at 8 o'clock in
You're
the morning,
prepared.
I'm already aware of what happens. So we look intelligent and we're already acting
You're not
accordingly,
sloppy.
So then, obviously at anywhere between 7 and 9, I'm at the gym every day. And then I do, obviously I go to the office, the Empire office. I'll do anywhere between the morning till 2 to 5 p.m. Then I'll come home. Depending if I got sloshed the previous night, I'll take a nap and have
When do you have time to get sloshed if you're waking up at 4?
He makes time.
I sleep an hour or two
Okay.
and I get up.
You trained yourself to not need
it's like
6, 7, 8 hours.
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm better now with sleep because I don't go out as much. Before I was going out, 3, 4, 5, 6 nights a week. This was
man.
for like
Careful.
20 years. And obviously, I had to slow that down. Nick passed away, who was my partner at Peopl, and that sort of shifted me a bit. And it shook me up a bit. So I took like a little step back and refocused my energies a bit. And when I redid my schedule, I said, listen, I'll go home, sleep an hour or two, have supper with my girlfriend, and then in the evenings, it's nighttime meetings for the bars. So, go see, let's say, Don B, meet up with the partners, see what's up, or is everything going well, and then come back home, anywhere between 8 and 3 a.m.
So that leads me to my next question. You start with L'Écurie.
Yep.
Then you don't stop there.
No, L'Écurie was an instant success. Crazy. It went from not even having one customer a week. We get the keys, we renovate, we open. It's rammed 4 or 5 nights a week. The people that live around the area are extremely upset with our arrival because now we're like, a bunch of snowboarders and skateboarders raging at the club a few nights a week. So the quality of life sort of changed in that area. They got together. It took them almost 5 years. They got together and they were filming what was going on, and they created this dossier that ended up in front of the courts. So we went to court and we had a few penalties. We did a lot of proactive quality control, and we'd have security agents on the street and the park in the front try to help out, but it was still too much, and we ended up having to close because we were just being too noisy, and Mayfair took over at that point. So I got out of L'Écurie, but we had Rack and Roll and Le Deuxième on the South Shore. Then I did Peopl with Nick in Old Montreal. Then we did Don B on Saint Laurent Street, which is blowing up right now. It's basically the new Écurie, for lack of better words. And we redid the Rack and Roll on the South Shore that became a high-end restaurant / bar, cocktail club, amazing spot. It's like an apartment 200, but on steroids.
Wow.
It's like, 5 times as big. And
Seems like the motto with you is just go big, right?
Don't get me wrong. It's
Go
small
big,
things.
but he services his niche.
Yeah.
Right.
Which is so important.
No, I just
he
like
doesn't
that,
go after the old Buonanotte crowd.
No, but one thing I gotta say is like the Madame Bovary concept's very cool. It's based off of the book, the novel, and it's the design inside, and my partners that took care of developing the concept did an incredible job. And the cuisine that's there is unbelievable, and it's really a more mature crowd.
Gotcha.
Where is this spot? Sounds like somewhere I need to be, right?
It's on the South Shore. Pardon me?
You let me in with sweatpants? Is that...
I'll let you in because I know you.
Okay.
If he's there, but he's not always there.
It's not like your typical, bouncer at the door you can't get in vibe, because it's South Shore. It's down to earth, but when you come in, they put a few million in the place.
Wow.
And, it turned out to be quite the concept. So aesthetically, it's beautiful. Quality of the food's beautiful. The cocktails, the listing, the people that are there, very mature crowd until around 12. For the restaurant component and cocktails. And then there's a shift of customers that, that are older that, say,
They fuck off.
I got to go to bed and whatever their excuses. And then there's like another generation that comes in that's younger yet way more mature than like a Don B type customer.
I got you.
And
where in the
menu
Shore
like?
is this located?
this is in Boucherville, right in front of my Boucherville store.
Got you.
What's the menu like there? I'm curious.
Menu there is a mix of I'd say how can I describe it? It's small plating. You take a
Tapas.
few plates. It's not tapas. I don't like using that term because it's too easy to like categorize it.
Fair.
It's very well presented, aesthetically beautiful food, taste unbelievable. But for hefty eaters, I'm a hefty eater. You'd probably take 2 to 3 plates. If you're really on a food binge, you'll go up to 4. But a girl would probably take 1 to 2 plates and be fine, to do cocktails after that and spend the night at the club. So we have a DJ. We have like 6, 7 pool tables. Nice. We have a library karaoke bar. So you open, you take a book and the bookshelf opens up and you go in like this private karaoke spot. That's really cool.
Dope. I gotta come check it.
Yeah, for sure.
I gotta come check it out. We'll plan a night. So right now you have Don B.
Yep.
Rack and Roll.
Which is now Madame Bovary.
Okay, that's the spot.
Switched.
Okay.
Yeah, exactly.
And weren't you, what other
Peopl?
People?
CINKO?
People no longer.
No, Peopl still fucking, sorry for the language, banging. Saturday is rammed. Sunday is rammed. Fridays hit and miss. And our Wednesdays, which used to be a really cool industry night, which I'd see you there every now and then, sort of shifted to the Sunday. Okay. So, but we're busy three nights a week.
Weren't you involved in CINKO restaurant?
Yeah, I'm still in CINKO. I forgot that one. Sorry, I got too many.
The guy can't remember the businesses he has. Now you understand why I brought him here, right? It's a good problem to have.
Yeah.
If you forget any envelopes,
I don't want to sound like
if you forget any envelopes that need to be picked up, just let Bless know. I'll go do your run for you too.
It's cool.
So tell us the businesses you have right now.
You want me to describe them?
No, I want you to tell us what they are. So you got Peopl, Rack and Roll, which is
now Madame Bovary, CINKO, Madame Bovary, Peopl, and Don B. Comer. So Peopl is very urban club, huge sound system. It's loud. It's in a basement. Old Port of Montreal. It's got that feeling. CINKO is a really cool concept. Very eclectic, sort of has a Warhol feel to it.
How many locations?
1. It's about 200 seater. We have a huge terrace in the summer. Amazing vibes. It's in Quartier Latin on Saint Denis, in front of Théâtre Saint Denis. It's a menu that is between $6.95 and $9.95. Very generous portions, loud music, a lot of people, very multicultural, amazing vibe. That's rammed.
Sounds like a Saint Sulpice kind of place.
Pardon me?
Sounds like a Saint Sulpice kind of place. No?
Better.
But you said big terrace, low prices.
But the Saint Sulpice terrace is gigantic terrace.
Fair.
That thing is huge. But it's well worth going there if you're with
like
your
a place
girl.
like college students kind of vibes.
Yeah, man. But it's. Okay, put it that way, but it's
because the food is nice and cheap.
Yeah,
but you can have cocktails. It's a fun place.
Exactly. And anyone who goes, I do a lot of lunch meetings there because it's my spot, and I bring people in.
Sure.
And everyone that I bring that are more mature, and they're like, "How do you make it work? It's so good. Portions are great, and it's only like X amount of dollars." So our concept works. Obviously, we sell a lot of cocktails and drinks with the food. So
that's where
we do like extremely high traffic. So it's in Quartier Latin. So there's a lot going on there. Students, all the shows at the Théâtre Saint Denis. There's the movie theater in front. So there's a lot going on that creates foot traffic for the business. So that's CINKO. Madame Bovary, I explained before, which is like a restaurant cocktail club on steroids. And Don B is like the new version of L'Écurie. It's on Saint Laurent. It's the old B-side, A-side up club there that we all connected together.
Yeah.
It's 3 rooms, more or less, 500-600 person capacity. A bunch of DJs, a terrace that is has a glass roof that I can open and close according to the weather. So the vibe there is amazing. You get different vibes in different zones. So if you want to be in the club, there's like a place where the music's really loud and it's really more club orientated. Downstairs is, your DJ Nerve, who's a, well-rounded off DJ who can actually cut, who can play the new urban stuff and who knows the OG, golden era stuff that we all appreciate. So we blend that all together. And yeah, so amazing spot. And obviously Saint Laurent being what it is, high traffic on your Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. The place is rammed. Great spot.
And you guys have a good Tuesday night going.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, it was still rammed. That's our more or less industry night, and it is another happening night. Don B's rammed 4 nights a week rammed.
So you have 5 clubs and
restaurants. Yeah,
clubs
exactly.
and or restaurants mixed together, and 9 locations.
9 empires and 1 online
store.
store.
I have a question for you. I see you wearing the Empire hat.
Yeah.
So did it like the progression? Was it start your own line and then bring on these other brands, or did the
No.
brand come afterwards? Like
Brand came afterwards.
Why? Why branch out? You just wanted your own?
Just different. A lot of right now, the new generation is very like, for instance, our buddies at Dime, who are doing a fantastic job. They developed a line, a crew that became a clothing line, and now they have a little store, but a lot of online sales. And
do you carry Dime at all?
No. They're like a Montreal, I don't like comparing, but like Supreme-ish type business model. Us, we're the opposite of that. We sell companies and we complement our offering with some in-house brand.
Gotcha.
So
basically like a mini department store concept.
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
Yeah. But specifically focused on
culture.
Skateboarding and snowboarding and, a bit of urban stuff.
Do you do anything outside of clothing that is maybe like brackets or wheels or stuff like that?
We make
in-house?
We make wheels, boards.
Cool. Very cool.
Obviously we make, hats and beanies and shirts and some denim, pants, shorts.
Very cool.
I mean, we dibble and dabble in what we feel we need to make and what we want to make. So a lot of printables, that's just branding, and we do a lot of stickers by the heap load. That's true.
I've seen stickers all over the city.
Yeah,
that's
man,
why
we've plastered the continent. But a lot of artist collaborations that we like doing. It's not so much about putting the name anymore. Like before, any skateboard store clothing had the name and huge.
Right.
We still have a bit of that stuff, but now it's more like subtlety mixed in with some artist collaborations or some.
Can you name some of the artists? Stuff that maybe.
I mean, one of the most recent is Mr. Beaufort, that guy that we met through skateboard community. Basically, I wouldn't say a doodle artist, but somewhat of a doodle artist who did a bunch of added graphics on magazine ads and covers for Thrasher magazine. So we ended up doing a contest, which was called I'm Getting Paid.
Oh, I remember that.
And we still do that. It's a yearly contest, one of the biggest amateur skateboarding contests in the world. And we'd bring, the course always gets redone and the ramps get repainted. We brand everything. And then we get an artist to come in and, do his thing. So Lucas came in and did, he says, okay, get me some paint, whatever amount of gallons of paint. And he's there at night, and we all go to bed. We come back the next day, bro. The whole fucking skate park is plastered with his graphics. Like, it is almost unhumanly possible to
how much work this guy did.
Done.
And at night.
And it still looked like, we didn't expect that, but it was awesome. It was like unbelievable. So we really clicked with him. And really appreciated the effort he put into it, because it's not like we were giving him $1 million check to do it, Sure. So we saw, the work ethic and just the pride in how he worked. So we ended up, dealing with him on other projects, and we just did a bunch of. Well, the boards aren't out yet; they're coming out soon. We dropped the clothing line about a few weeks ago, so there's a bunch of hoodies, T-shirts with different graphics that he played off on, and some cool stuff.
And well deserved. He put in all that work. Why not? Right?
Well, yeah, and he's very well respected in the skate community, and we do every year we do more or less a photography series, which we get some photographer, often local Montreal guys that are very well known, very well respected, and we'll work some of their photos and apply it to skateboards or clothing. And then there's an artist component, which is more like some graphic design or some actual artistry that is applied to the clothing and boards also.
That's dope.
Yeah.
So with 15, 16, we can't count, we keep losing count, active businesses running. I know you talked a little bit about, how rigorous your schedule is. What would you attribute, or what would be a tip, that you use to managing all of these? Because just hearing the kind of workload you must have can be overwhelming.
Teamwork.
And no ego. You said before you'll pick up a broom.
Yeah.
You leave your ego at the door.
Exactly. First of all, God bless all my partners. I'm not alone in any project. When I decide to get involved in a project, or I decide to start a project, I always do it for the fun, because I'm interested in whatever that project is for whatever reason. After that, it's what's the team, you know, create the best possible team competence-wise, but also fun-wise. And put that together and maximize everyone's strengths and minimize their weaknesses. And, you know, share the workload and cross our fingers that things work out, you know.
So far, so good.
Yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong; it's not always easy. There are you know, businesses that aren't as profitable or that, you know, come with different struggles.
The Montreal
you know,
club scene too is not an easy game.
No, but it's easier than you think.
Okay. I don't want to know. I think.
No, but what I'm saying is, you know, the whole mythology of having to deal with all these criminals and, you know,
Okay.
now that
the
does
bells
not,
and whistles that go along with it.
In our case, no. And
But also, you're not necessarily.
I'm not
always
catering to that.
attracting to
Yeah,
that.
exactly.
Bottle popping. You know, crew of the month wants to be
Yeah.
in your place flexing.
Yeah,
you know,
exactly.
You cater to a lot of good kids who are really into hip hop and skate culture. A lot of kids from the shore and from the North Shore, and
Exactly.
and which is a beautiful crowd.
Yeah, man. Well, they're the best crowd.
They
They're
are.
repeat customers. You know, besides, you know, I don't know, tearing someone's T-shirt out because they're doing the whole Bam Margera thing. You know, every now and then it's just like doing
pretty
some
harmless.
stupid stuff. But
And
it's
they're a
harmless.
loyal crowd.
Yeah, very loyal.
When you're
very
going
loyal.
for that A-list crowd, you know, Old Port, that, you know, selling the tables and
Yeah.
bringing the hottest, that's a very disloyal crowd.
they're-
They go
well,
where the
well,
party is.
Exactly. Well, they're social butterflies, so they go from one spot to another, whatever's popping, the flavor of the month, and wherever the police aren't annoying them.
Yeah.
Right.
So
Yeah. So I definitely would. So you would say that you've attributed being able to sustain all these business by team management and by being a good delegator.
Well, yeah. Don't, like, as I say, all these projects I'm involved in, like, I have partners, we take decisions. In the club restaurant scene, I'm not as actively involved
Present.
in the administration, the hardcore administration, like staff schedules and what products we're going to sell. My partners are specialized in that field, so they optimize the business on that
So
side. I'm
you
more
allow
like a
people to-
marketing, you know, side of things. And then on Empire, it's the opposite. I'm
hands-on.
I'm hands-on, you know, with my partners.
So by trade, you're a retail guy.
Yep.
And then you kind of would let the experts deal with operations for the nightlife stuff.
Yeah, definitely. Because at the same time, I still want to go see my buddies in my competitors' clubs,
Sure.
and I want to be in my clubs every now and then. And I mean, there's only so many nights a week, and I have to sleep a few of them. So
How often do you go to your spots?
I try to go once or twice a week to a different spot. In the nighttime, CINKO, Madame Bovary, I can go during the day. So like we're open on
clubs,
lunch
I
hours.
mean.
But the clubs, I'll try to go
Check in
like
once a
Friday and Saturday, and do one or the other, you know, and move around and just go. You know, I might not close the place, but
Sure.
I'm not gonna lie. Once I'm in there, it's like everything breaks loose and there's no going back.
We've had that.
Exactly.
We've had the
Exactly.
champagne flowing a few nights, and
Yeah.
me, you, and Nick can't see.
Yeah,
You know, your vision doesn't work anymore after a while. and
that's good. Those are good nights, man.
Those were great memories. And R.I.P. Nick, man. He was
Yeah.
such a good cat, man.
Yeah, for sure, bro.
God bless Nick and his
Yeah,
family,
yeah.
bro. God bless Nick and his family. So, the projects now. What are you focused on outside of the
Actually, always in business development. I'm working on a clothing line. I've since the day I started Empire with Pat and Fred, I had doodled a pair of fleece jogging pants,
Dope.
and
Thick.
Love that already.
you know,
That's up my alley.
I'll remember, man. Just doodle it. And I'm like, man, these baggy ass pants with, like, you know that football jersey mesh in the lower
Oh,
fucking
yeah, yeah,
knee
yeah.
areas
Oh, yeah,
with
yeah,
big
yeah.
cargo pockets.
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
I'm like, it's dope. And I'm like, oh, I'm gonna get these done. But the thing is Empire skyrocketed. So I got sucked into the retail component very, very quickly, and the whole, like, clothing component sort of was put on the side burner. And about 2 years ago, I was just thinking about where I was in my life, and you know, the hits and misses, and I was like, you know what? There's one thing missing. It's a clothing line. And it's awkward to say that because there's one thing that isn't missing in the world is clothing.
You're 100% right.
So
For you, it was
well
missing.
for me, like I'm plunged in clothing every day, all day.
Sure.
But at the same time, there's things that all these brands I'm selling are doing that I like. Some I don't like, but they sell, so I carry them. But I feel there's something I could add to the mix, you know. And so I decided to do a few phone calls, and I just went on a mission, man. And I created the space on the South Shore, which is like a sampling / designing facility. So it's about 4,000 square feet.
Oh.
We have about 10 sewing machines, you know, huge cutting table. You know, a lot of stuff is designed there. From there, I deal with different manufacturers in China who can produce the product in the amounts we need, and we're launching our first line in fall 2020. So
Congratulations! What's it called?
It's called USG. It's actually this is one of the shirts. It's USG. It's a clothing brand. It spin off of a project that a bunch of kids had done, like maybe 35 years ago, that stuck with me. But I took the name and reworked it, and I said, you know, let's do it. And you know, everyone who's in this clothing game right now is aiming for the Palace / Supreme formula. You know, limited drops, very limited product. Exactly. Obviously, a lot of collaborative, you know, product. Which is an amazing business model. Much respect to it, and I think it's definitely the way to go about it.
They broke the game.
See, if you ask a kid today who's 18, 19, who's into that streetwear game, he'll probably, if you ask him, hey, if you were to start a clothing brand, who would you like to be? Then he'd probably, you know, drop a few of those streetwear names
Supreme,
with a few of the high end fashion brands, mix that together. But no one's saying I want to be Tommy Hill. No one's saying I want to be Nautica. I want to be Benetton.
The sport high-end polo.
Yeah, that's it. I saw you rock that before. I was like, okay.
And with the jogger, with the dressy jogger.
Yeah, for sure.
Matching Tommy everything. We're from that era.
So basically, what I'm trying to do, and don't know if it's going to work, but we'll praise for the best, is do like a line that's got a very preppish sportswear feel to it. So you're dibbling and dabbling in that Tommy style / polo style.
It's that all-American timeless.
Exactly. Mixed in with that Nike athletic component or Adidas athletic component.
That techie, smart
there
techie,
you go.
functional techie.
I don't know if you remember. It's funny because I see a bunch of this stuff coming out nowadays with Nike and all these, like you know how Nike, Adidas, they all have like high-end fashion divisions and like super exclusive product. You remember Physical Science?
I'm trying.
I don't know if this will come up on Google. I did an ad with Guru for Physical Science.
Okay, so there you go.
That were in Vice magazine.
There you go.
That was
There
in
you go.
everything.
So Physical Science, if you this was Mark Echo who started Physical Science. So basically Echo was blowing up, and Physical Science was his laboratory you know, mad scientist, tech, athletic wear.
But it was great and ahead of its time.
Man, the stuff you're seeing now is extremely similar to what he was doing in the late 90s to mid 2000s.
And it was such a cool brand that initially I had told, like I was sponsored by Echo at the time, and I had told the people at Echo, I said, you know, why don't you get me and Guru to do an Echo ad? And they were like, look, Echo's like huge. We don't need profile for Echo. It's the biggest shit on planet Earth. But what do you think about Physical Science? And when I saw the brand, it was kind of like early Diesel meets like
super tech.
Yes, super techy, like drawstring, jean jackets that had zippers. The materials were fantastic. They had a dope ass, I'll never forget it. It was a navy blue and red velour suit.
I don't remember that.
I remember because we wore it in the ad. Me and Guru had matching tracksuits in the ad. It was hilarious. I was really happy to do the ad because I liked the brand more than Echo at the time.
Yeah, but that's it. The people that had been, you know, sporting Echo for a while, and obviously Echo was oversaturated at that point. So Physical Science came in. So Physical Science is if you take a bit of that flavor and you take a bit of the Nike Adidas DNA and you slap it into some polo with some Nautica and you slap a bit of Benetton in there, and that's a bit that's a bit of the bowl. That's my salad.
I like your salad pause, but we definitely have to talk more about this off camera because I think I have some ideas for
Bless wants a collab.
Piece of the action.
I don't even want a piece of the action. I'm so into it from a cultural perspective. Like for me, gear, clothing, fashion is right up there with the music itself. It always has been. Like we've always been guys that have been super into
for sure,
this.
for
like,
sure.
See, like we were early sneakerheads. We were guys that would get drunk together at the bar and just like nerd out on hip hop and like gear and shit. So for me, like I've never done music to make money. Obviously, I'm not, I'm a businessman, but at the end of the day, that's never been the goal. It's just a byproduct of my passion. So I'm always down to be involved in anything artistic, especially like your vision seems really spot on with, I think, where fashion is going.
Yeah.
Right? Because like where music is,
like I said, there's no guaranteed success because when you put all that together, it's the thing is that's a recipe, but will people like the taste? And
sure.
and that is something that's going to be difficult to evaluate until I'm on that market. One thing's for sure is the 10, 15 privileged individuals who've seen my line because I went to get some input and it's a big collection.
It sounds like it needs to
be.
They
were blown away by what it looked like and where it was going. Considering that most brands that pop up on the market today are like 3 baseball hats, a beanie, a hoodie, a t-shirt, and it's always the same formula. Exactly.
Right?
And this is it. I met distributors and friends of mine that are in the distro world, getting some advice from them and seeing business opportunities, and they were challenging me with that business model, and I was challenging them back. I think that for a guy like me to come out and do what those other brands are doing with the super small capsules, very limited brand, very limited product, is an existing formula. I'm not bringing anything different to the plate, and it's a bigger financial risk for me to endeavor in a bigger line with more quantities, but I feel strongly about it, and I'm not trying to be exclusive. Man, there's enough exclusive brands out there.
Right.
And the word exclusive is technically speaking bad right now. It's like, the collabo exclusive world. So
include everybody.
Yeah, and I'm into I respect a brand who can sell to different communities, who can appeal to different cultures, and ultimately serve a planet instead of a micro fine. How can I say bracket of a customer,
which is already a super saturated space in itself.
It's ridiculous. If you look back and you look at what's going on right now in the high fashion, mid fashion, streetwear, and skateboarding and snowboarding stuff, everyone this is the bracket, and everyone is aiming for this line.
Yeah,
it's right there.
Yeah.
Right,
and it's cool, but now it's not only the streetwear brands that are fighting for that bracket. Now you got Louis coming in, you got Gucci coming in.
They're dropping even.
And they're bringing their
Everyone
level
in the
of
Kanye
business. That's like,
space.
So and then you got all these exclusive drops with all the athletic brands, and everyone's trying to be this, but
it can't be exclusive.
Right now, if you want, put it this way, every day I go out, I look at what's around me. Okay, and this is going to sound really awkward to what I'm going to say, but if you want to be exclusive, the last thing you want to be wearing is a Supreme piece. No disrespect to Supreme. Yeah. But there's so much knockoff, and there's also a lot of product, and everyone that has it wears it like a billboard. Right. So it's very in your face. You want to wear a pair of exclusive shoes. You're wearing Nike, Adidas, and Converse. Everyone's wearing that right now.
That's right.
Technically speaking, if you're rocking a pair of
DC
cool version of a skate shoe, or even for instance, a few years back, a few buddies of mine were rocking Doc Martens before, Docs are sort of back right now, but a few years ago they weren't.
I did that. I went to New York.
And it's like, man, That's different. You
Phil,
know,
I went to New York. You know, they had all those, sneaker spots in Soho on Broadway, Lower Broadway.
I was there last Friday.
Right? So I'm always, since I'm a kid, I go into a store and I see they had the classic black 8-hole docks with the yellow stitching for like $60. And I'm like, yo, just because these are classic, I pick them up. I rock them a couple times. People are like, oh, you're bringing back docks? I was wearing them like Tim's, open.
yeah.
Then, boom, Rihanna or whatever.
Yeah, everyone's
celebrity.
wearing
Now
them.
everybody, every retail
Bro,
restocks.
I'm selling Doc.
There you
Right.
go.
What are you
Same
doing
with
with
the
your
Alpha
store?
Bombers?
Pardon me?
What are you doing with the clothing line? Is it going to be brick and mortar? Is it going to be online?
It's going to be. I'm
never said
going with a
2020, you
hybrid
said.
business model. So it's going to be available in brick and mortar, but it's also going to be available direct to consumer online.
Okay.
You see, this is a work in progress model where is the sampling that I got done is impeccable. So the quality of the samples we received is on point, like we rarely see. We're going into production right now, so we're hoping the production comes out the same way as the sampling.
Yeah,
comes
because
out.
you know how that goes.
So
with
there
China.
you go. So once I get that, I'll feel comfortable or I'll be disappointed. I'll adjust accordingly. So
You got some time.
my first run that's coming in is a hefty run for the size of brand we are, but it's not like, billions of dollars of product. So we're going to manage it accordingly.
Yeah.
And then I'm going to build the business up. It's a 20-year plan split out in 4 segments of 5 years. Each 5-year segment is split into 2 years, 3 years. And every segment, when you jump every 5 years, the first 2 years of that segment is learning to cater and understand that customer in that bracket, and the 3 following years are capitalizing on it. So it's basically stepping up, but in an intelligent phase, because there's always an area when you're always in what I've seen and when I speak to people that are in business and have done some development, there's always a gray area where when you go to the next step, the beginning of that step isn't very profitable, because when you go from, let's say, $100,000 in sales to $1 million, you have to pony up more money. You need more space. You need, more employees.
Adjustments.
But you're not necessarily selling enough to cover those costs. So you have to get into that bracket, get the comfort zone, trim it down, control it, and then exploit it. So that's, how I see the plan going up. And don't get me wrong, I'm aiming for $1 billion. But if I sell a few million and it's profitable, hey, kudos, man. It's good.
And it's a fun project.
Exactly,
And it's something
exactly.
you're passionate about, something I've always been passionate about. And salute to you, because I have 2 examples that come to mind. Number 1, the most iconic brand of all time, Ralph Lauren.
Yeah, man.
Same business model, wide range. Very, it hits the middle, that mid-market between high fashion and one notch from Gap. And that's where he won and became the most iconic. And there's no such thing as polo being played out, ever.
Never.
And
Never.
number 2, in the business model, who's getting set to be the next biggest in the Zara H&M space? Uniqlo.
Yeah. I didn't.
Functional.
I didn't know
smart.
Uniqlo 2-3 years ago. I had no idea who these guys were. And I went to the States and visited their store. It's Tootie, who had spoken to me about.
We just had Jojo Flores and Tootie on together.
I heard. So Tootie had talked to me about this line. I had no idea. And then, next thing you know, I pop into one of their stores. Amazing concept.
Massive.
Man, ridiculous. But in an area that I don't really want to get into. It's
No,
like
but what
more
I mean
fast
is-
fashion / heavy rotation.
But it's functional and techy
yeah,
at the same
don't get
time.
me wrong.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong. As I said, great
Maybe a little
product.
more
And the
hip, they're a
stores-
little more GQ.
and their stores are very, like the ones I visited are very technical,
yeah,
like
smartly designed.
exactly. So I understand the concept. I appreciate it, but I wouldn't want to be it. That's not
No,
what
of
I'm in for.
course.
If I was tomorrow morning, I could decide what this brand would be 20 years from now. It would be a polo without the suits.
Of course.
All the the suit
Without
and
the
ties.
town and country and the whole...
like everything that has to do with like the preppy vibe, sporty vibe. I'm in, man. Like from the architecture,
Beautiful
to
clothing.
to the clothing.
Well,
You
got
grade
my
for me.
full support, my brother, and I definitely want to continue building more on this project.
We'll wear it
because
on the
it's
show.
very
You tell us when, man.
That's cool.
Very
You guys will
interesting.
get some packages. Don't worry.
Very interesting. Very interesting. Phil, thank you so much for coming, my brother.
Pleasure.
You're a
Thank
wealth
you,
of
thank you.
knowledge, a
Pleasure.
true OG in the game.
As I said, I have a gift for you. It's nothing major.
Okay.
I also I also had.
Wow.
So this is the flyer that
Signed
we
by
met-
me and Guru.
Exactly.
Dude.
Wow.
So it's nothing big. I had a few copies.
That's amazing, bro. Thank you.
Yeah, I was going through some records. I was digging
Holy.
a few weeks ago, and
That's dope.
I stumbled upon these flyers, literally, probably in the crate, like in that section of records that I got so many records that I hadn't really used in a long time.
That's so dope,
and
man.
this popped up, and I
Thank
knew
you so much.
I'd seen the show.
Thank
Getting
you so
emotional,
much,
I can
man.
see it.
Thank you, man. Wow. Here,
So-
I don't know if you can see it on the
Oh
camera.
yeah. Oh yeah.
With
Beautiful.
the dope frame. This is going right up in my studio, my brother.
All good,
I
brother.
really appreciate it. I appreciate you coming, man. Thank
All
you
good,
so
G.
much.
Thank you.
Once again, it's that time. We're signing out. This is the Moment of Truth podcast. Your boy Bless, Lemme-Kno to the left, and of course the infamous Phil Grisé, Empire's own USG, dropping 2020. Keep a close eye on that. Thank you so much again for being here.
Thanks, man. It's a pleasure. Anytime.
Yeah, represent one time on the M.I.C.